What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. I am glad that you are here with me. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here. And for that, I'm thankful and I ain't going to waste too much of your time. Today, I got a special guest to the channel, and we have Tamara. I'm saying your name wrong. Tamara Hill, and she's a therapist. And we're going to pick a brain on some topics and see what she can teach us about mental health. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Yes, I am doing all right as well. It's Friday. It's so much more that I want to do with my time, but this is also good.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you being here. All right. So, you know, what made you become a therapist?
Yeah, I never know how to answer that because I get that question, all the time, really. I think it was truly just a combination between just my personal interest in understanding the human mind, mixed with just my growing awareness of humanity over time, if that makes sense. So, I left, my mom homeschooled me until I was about 17, from ages 9 to 17. And once I graduated, I realized there's a lot in this world I just don't get. I don't understand human beings. I don't understand why they do what they do. And so I delved into psychology then. But then my own personal life came and that came into things. And then I just thought, I just feel like this is a calling. Maybe I need to pursue this. And so then I guess over time it just became a part of me, you know? So personal and professional experience meshed together.
Yeah, I think there has to be for someone to become a therapist, there has to be a desire to want to help people as well, right?
Yeah,
And that is, if you don't have the desire to help people,
yeah,
it'll become a chore for you to actually take on this job, do that work, right?
absolutely. I think before we came on the air here, I was telling you I see 65 people a week, and that's like 13 Mondays, 16 Tuesday, and it just keeps going. And I'm drained by Friday, but I think it's that little part of me that says people need you that kind of keeps me going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. It's nice to be able to contribute to the society and the community.
Yes.
Um, so were there or are there still challenges that you faced in becoming a therapist?
Mhm. Do you mean like personal challenges?
Yeah, just like
Mhm.
things that were in your way on your
Mhm.
journey to become a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just being a woman of color, I think that was the first barrier, um, in just trying to fight my way through a predominantly white male field. Even when I went to college, I went to a predominantly white, um, upper class university in a predominantly Jewish area, and it was really hard for me to push through and say, "Hey, I'm qualified as well." I have a brain too. I can understand human behavior. But then after that, I think the other challenge was just being a woman. Just being a woman with all these male dominated concepts. So I would get on stage, places that I was asked to speak at, and different ones would just be sitting like, what was in her coffee this morning? Because I think a woman and a woman of color that can throw terminology and really get this, I think it's very shocking in my field.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's lonely.
Yeah. It's lonely at the top. Well, you made it, right? You made it to where you're in the position that you wanted to that you aspire to be. So that is a commendation to you for actually being able to put yourself in that position.
Amen.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. I know just being black alone puts a lot of barriers in front of you. I actually
Yeah.
made a video recently where I was talking about um, overcoming the fears and the
Mhm.
the view that we are being prevented from doing things as Black people, right? Because
Absolutely.
there are always going to be people that try to stop you from getting to where you want to be, but we
Yes.
have to overcome those challenges by changing our mindset.
Yes.
So
Very much agree.
yeah. Um. So obviously, I saw you on YouTube and I made contact. So what made you take your message to YouTube?
Yeah. So I was working in a predominantly white group private practice, and the goal of that practice was to treat, but there was no real education. So I would have clients come in that wanted treatment, but they didn't know what I was talking about.
Mm,
And they didn't know how to perceive their life and other people. And so I had a little room. It looked like a little bathroom in this practice where I would just, and it was so hot. They didn't have air conditioning. So I'd be like this, trying to figure out how to get my YouTube videos to work. And it was just so like, amateurish. But I thought I need to educate. And then it took off. One
mm,
week it was 200 subscribers, next week it was 900, and it just kept going. And I realized, okay, maybe God wants me to be here. Maybe I need to do this for people.
yeah.
So
No, I mean, good job. A lot of
thank
people
you.
don't realize that YouTube is a tough game to be in as well. They think
God.
it's just easy to come up with a script or just to speak off the top of your dome, and
Yeah.
it's behind the scenes. There's a lot of I've had like sleepless nights where I'm just like working all night trying to edit
Yes.
these videos and get them to look presentable to people, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
not easy to do.
Now you need a therapist just for that, right?
Well, that's why you're here.
Exactly. That's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, for sure, for sure. So speak when we talk about trauma, I think that is something that affects a lot of us in the community, and I don't want to say more so Black people, but there seems to be a lot of trauma when it comes to how households, right? How we've been raised or the experiences that we've been through as Black people. We seem to have a lot of trauma with us. So my question to you is, what do you think some of the reasons are for some people to be more traumatized than other people, even though they experienced they had the same
Mhm.
experience.
That's interesting. Let me just clarify too, because I want to make sure that's a great question. I want to make sure that I'm targeting it.
Mm.
As people of color, why do some experience trauma more than others? Is that what you mean, Marvin?
Why do I guess not so much the experience is that we are all going to experience some form of trauma.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my question my question is, why are some more affected by
Yes.
by trauma, right? So that's my question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I'm going to take two roads here. One is genetics,
Hmm.
and the other is environment. So I think when we are born into this world, we are born with a set of genes that determines our path. If we're born into an environment where there is trauma, there's unpredictability, there's drugs, there's untreated mental illness, whatever the case may be, those two things collide. And it really is like flipping a coin almost, Marvin. It's like, how do we know if this person's going to have PTSD because of this and maybe not the other person? Or how do we know, why is this person able to push through adversity and not be traumatized while the other one is? Part of that is that colliding of genetics and environment.
Right.
Sometimes they don't collide well. And so for me, I had a really supportive environment growing up, and my genetics are okay to a certain extent. Maybe the next person didn't have a good set of genes, and maybe they didn't, have a very supportive environment. So we're going to experience two different forms of reality, life, the way we perceive things, think about things. So in a nutshell, it really is genes and environment colliding. Is it going to be a good thing or a bad thing? And it's also going to be, what's been my journey over time? How does my mind process my life experience? Because
Right.
perception of reality has a lot to do with trauma, and it also has a lot to do with how we perceive what has happened to us. So all of those variables, Marvin, collide, and so that's why one person with PTSD may be very different from the next person with the same thing.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
complicated.
It is very, very, very complicated, and that
Yeah.
is it's a question that I think about because as a parent, right?
Yes.
You have kids and you're trying to
Mhm.
raise them the right way, and sometimes it's hard to even determine what experiences will
That's
traumatize
right.
a child. Like if you think just because you think it'd be traumatizing to them does not mean that it'll traumatize
Yeah.
them.
Absolutely.
So just trying to navigate through events or experiences and how we can minimize that effect of trauma, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
what sort of things do you think people can do to minimize the effects of trauma?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we can't predict what our environment is going to bring to us, and we also don't have control over our genes, or what we call epigenetics, just the study of genes and how they evolve over time. So because we don't have that control, we can at least control our coping skills. We can at least control how we think about things. So for my clients, when they come in and they're dealing with PTSD or complex PTSD, I really work with their thoughts, because people who have experienced trauma, their thoughts are automatically negative. Like there is just no other way they're going to perceive reality. So we need to work with our cognitions. What's real, what's not, what's exaggerated, and then from there, I just think spirituality is extremely important. Faith and holding on to God and finding some peace in meditation and processing of things is a coping skill in and of itself. You
Hmm.
know, we would call that post traumatic growth, which is, I've had pain, but now I'm on the other side and I'm trying to figure out how to cope. So part of that coping is spirituality, understanding how your mind works, how you think and process things, and really working toward setting yourself up for a better future. And again, that starts with changing your cognitions and how you see things as well.
Right, for sure. I think in my own experience of dealing with people, I find that people that are more emotional tend to be more traumatized by events. So, for me, I don't have all the technical words like you, but I just think it depends on how emotional a person is, because for a person who is emotional, they have some gifts because if you are emotional, you're gonna remember things a lot better because when things happen, you you're connected to those events with your emotions. So you can recall things very quickly. But at the same time, that becomes a weakness because if you remember or you focus more on the negative events of life, then you can easily recall those as well, and it'll change your perspective of of
Yeah,
of, of life.
so true. So
Yeah.
true. I can comment on that for days. You want me to comment on that one?
Please comment on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good. Oh, I love that, because part of it is neurology. Part of it is the brain. Like the brain doesn't necessarily function logically. And I talk about this a lot on my channel, Marvin. You may have seen it. We have like an almond-sized structure in the middle of our brain, and it's called the amygdala.
Yeah.
And that amygdala is so tiny, but it holds the key to our emotions, because what it does is, it's like a flashlight. it really does causes our brain to kind of go around like a flashlight to shine light on things that could be a threat, that could be emotional, and it cements our emotional memories. That's the part of the brain that's impacted by trauma. And so that part of the brain is really what, kind of gives us meaning. It gives us purpose. It helps us connect to reality. It helps us remember the bad things, the good things. And so, healing of trauma is difficult because of that amygdala. It's
Yeah.
just that enriched part of the brain that just gives us all the emotional memory that we need, good or bad. So it's like it's neurological for the most part, but then the spiritual side of just humans, right? We connect emotionally, and that's just how we function. So we've got that spiritual side of humans, but then we have the neurological piece, and it just comes together. So that's why
Right.
some people are like so dramatic, and other people, they're more laid back with life. Part of that is the amygdala. It's how that part of the brain perceives reality.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an individual response, right?
Yeah.
So
That's right.
each person would perceive an event to be either traumatic or not traumatic. Like some people can find strength from actually going through tough situations, and through finding a way to overcome those adversities, it makes them stronger. Whereas for some other people, and I said this on my channel too. I said that I wouldn't want a woman to go through a lot of traumatic events just because she's automatically born a more emotional person. So the way that she's going to process information is going to be different from the way that a man would process information. So a man might come out of a tough situation refined and a better man, whereas for the woman it'll be she's going to be dealing with fear and anxiety and depression and just not knowing how to overcome what she's been through. So it's important that you know I guess trying to find a balance between that emotional aspect of ourselves and the logical part of ourselves, and just being able to regulate both in a balanced way, right?
Absolutely. I mean, let me just briefly comment on that one because you point out a good part. Now, some people would say we're sexist, right? That's really not what we're trying to do. I mean,
Maybe a little bit.
maybe a little bit. Yeah, because I dropped my almonds here. This was the only lunch I had, and I almost cried. I really did.
Oh,
I'm like that. No, please. But so are we more emotional as women? Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yes.
You got guys and men, they perceive reality from the prefrontal cortex where there's more executive control. You delve right in through rationalizing and intellectualizing and making decisions and trying to fix things. Whereas for women, we come from the more emotional pieces of the brain. So I mean, it's not a sexist thing to say. I think it's just how the brain automatically works. You guys are more logical, intellectualized, and you're decision makers, and we're not. Not always.
No, no, of course. There
Yeah.
are men that are more emotional than
True.
women are, and there are women who function and think more logically than some men. But I wanted
Yeah.
to touch on something you just talked about,
Yeah.
and you were saying that we use so men naturally. I don't know if
Hmm.
that's the word.
Yeah.
Um, they use a different part of the brain more than women use that part of the brain.
Yeah. Absolutely. So sometimes, and this is even backed by psychological research. Sometimes there are literal electric changes in the brain based on how a man versus a woman perceives reality. It's really cool. When you're put into a MRI machine or some kind of PET scan, or it could be called a PET scan, the brain actually lights up depending on what that man and woman are perceiving as reality. So there's been clinical studies where, a man is given a picture of, let's say, someone being attacked, a woman's given a picture of somebody being attacked, but their brains are perceiving that reality very different, you know. Uh,
That is very, very interesting.
it's very interesting. You know, how do they say that, Marvin? Men are from Mars or women are from, what's that one?
Yeah, women are from Venus and men are from Mars.
There you go. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
there's a little bit to that because the brain does, it processes things differently with men and women.
Yeah, and there you've seen, you've probably seen this on the news or on YouTube,
Yeah.
the the sports, how
Hmm.
now they're basically trying to have trans people,
Yeah.
trans men, compete in women's sports
Yeah.
and have them do things that women are supposed to primarily do. And I think that understanding that we think or we function differently
Yes.
is it should determine how we make decisions based on our being a man or being a woman.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
there are ways that we are different and that should be respected. To
Agree.
me, anyways,
Agree. Very much agree. Very
right?
much agree.
Yeah,
I used to work. I used to work on a unit in a hospital for adolescents who were very behaviorally uncontrolled. I'll put it that way. And there were some women there who, some young girls who were going through the process of transitioning from female to male. And one incident, I was on staff, and the female who was transitioning into male attacked a boy, and there was nothing she could do to really get on top of this boy. Like, he had a strength that she
yeah,
just didn't have, no matter how much of a transition she had had, because she could actually and literally appear to be a biological male, but her strength was so unmatched from him, and I never forgot it.
yeah. No, my
Yeah.
I have two little ones, and my
Yeah.
daughter is she's tall for her age,
Yeah.
and she is much bigger than my son is, but
Mhm.
he can fight with her, and
Yes.
he's faster than her. Even
Mhm.
even at such a young age, but he's faster. He's in some ways he's stronger
Yeah.
than her. Like if she can't open a jar of pickles, he is like pass it over here, and he he, op- he opens the jar
Yeah.
of pickles for her. Like, so the grips are the his grip
That's right.
is stronger than her grip,
Yeah.
right? So putting these trans women or trans men into women's sport, I think it creates a very, very unfair advantage for the women.
Mhm.
And it's,
Agree.
I don't know how you have scientists and intelligent people out there that just don't get that and
Yeah.
make decisions based on that, you know?
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Okay. I appreciate your insights. I've learned a few things from this conversation. Um, yeah, but I wanted to switch. Um, I wanted to switch gears onto a different topic, and then we can wrap up. When it comes to narcissism, the data shows that I think it's in, like, for example, in the states, it says that there are 1 out of 200 people will be are narcissists, and 75% of those are men. How correct do you think that data is?
Oh. Okay. So I should have brought my manual. I didn't.
Yeah,
Okay. So you caught me off guard with this one, Marvin. I mean, like, my whole career has flashed before my eyes with this question. Let me just say, let me just say, I just do I believe in the gender differences there? Yes.
yes,
Yes.
I do too.
You do too? Okay, all
Yeah,
right. I'm not alone in that. And research does back this. So let me just briefly tell you why I believe it. Um, Men are culturally developed in a different way than women. That's That's just that's just something that is just true. It has stood the test of time. Men are kind of encouraged growing up to be confident and strong and independent and influential and powerful, right? They're the dominant species. We women, we look to guys to do everything, right? Reach something off top of the shelf, propose to us, chase us in romance. Like men are culturally stronger, and so I think that that has contributed to a real issue. Remember, genes and environment collide, and even with narcissists, men who are narcissists, they could possibly be genetically predisposed to being narcissists, but then there's that environment piece, that cultural piece. They're told to kind of be a certain way. So you have both of those things coming together, and boom, you've got a narcissistic man that's been born.
Right. And yeah, I think just it'd be easier to detect narcissistic traits in a man than it is in women. So when I hear the percentage is 75% of narcissists are men, I don't agree with it because I think that the women that are narcissistic, most of them will be covert narcissists, and that is hard to detect. Only the people that are going through it, that are being abused in these relationships, know that there's something wrong. On the outside, these women would pretend to be angels, right? So it's hard to put a finger on them and say, well, that one there, right? And it's not like they're gonna come forward and say, yes, I'm a narcissist, count me on to the list, right? So, but I think it's easier for men to be detected as narcissists based on those reasons that you gave, that we are more we're more confident, more aggressive in nature. Yes, so you can point it out pretty quickly that yeah, that's a narcissistic trait.
Oh yeah. With women, you're right. They are going to be more covert, and culture it applies to that as well.
Mm,
African American women versus Indian women are going to really show, they're going to display narcissistic traits very differently.
right,
That
right.
complicates the whole picture. And then, women are just, which this is why I hang out with the guys. I've always preferred the guys. Like, I would never want to work in a beauty salon. I prefer to work in Home Depot. Like I don't want the drama, Marvin. So, women who are narcissists, they tend to be the sneaky backbiters
Yeah,
who, like you said, tend to be a little bit more sneaky, and they can put their earrings on and their lipstick and their makeup and a nice
yeah,
dress and act like a princess.
yeah. It's harder to detect for sure. And I think
Mm.
that my channel is my channel is basically advocating for men the
Yeah,
most, but I also like to talk about things that more in a balanced way so that it kind
yeah.
of shows both sides of society, tell a story of both sides
Mm.
of the society and see how we can actually get better together.
Yes,
But I find that there are women that they can trick you into getting into relationships with them,
yes.
just pretending to be a certain type of woman, right?
So
And
true.
a lot of men would gravitate towards that, and then at the end find out that whatever image they showed you was nothing compared to what they really are underneath.
Yes,
And it's in my opinion, I think the numbers are off. I think
yes.
it's the narcissistic women. I would say it's almost on par with narcissistic men.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just say too, you want to be able to decipher between a narcissist and a sociopath when it comes to both men and women.
Right.
But with women, they far exceed narcissism if they have tricked you and now you're married.
Yeah.
Like, you're no longer narcissistic, now you're sociopathic, because now you have not only manipulated me, but you've manipulated how I perceive you. You've manipulated how long we've been together. Like, it crosses narcissism and goes into sociopathy when they have completely and 100% blinded you to life with them.
What?
Yeah.
No, okay, hold up.
Yeah.
I gotta talk to you a lot more.
All right.
Holy. So it's that easy for
Yeah.
okay, so because I was thinking I know that BPD, narcissism,
Mhm.
sociopath, psychopaths as well. I
Yeah.
know that they share similar traits, but it's
Yes.
very hard to differentiate which one is which.
Very true.
Yeah, but
Very
so
true.
you see it all the time though. Like there are a lot of women that would trick you into getting into relationship with them, and
Right.
men do it too.
Yes.
Or you're in a relationship with them and they don't when they make mistakes or hurt you in some ways, even just ushering forward an apology
Yes.
is the biggest, the most difficult thing that you could ask from them.
Right.
And in my
Yeah.
mind, I thought that was just a narcissistic trait, but it could be something way worse than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you have to think of narcissists as individuals who are all about themselves. They don't have emotions, most of them, about anybody else. It's all about what they can get. Sociopaths are sneaky. And before I get into that, let me just briefly clarify. Psychopaths and sociopaths are literally the same thing. Here's what makes a difference, and it's the number one difference. Sociopaths are clumsy. Psychopaths are not. So yeah, so sociopathic women, for example, they are clumsy. They will have an affair, for example, and leave their cell phone on the table in the kitchen. Like why? Like that just doesn't make any sense. Or they'll do something like email their lover on the side, and then you have access to the email account. Like they don't connect the dots. Now, a psychopath, you may never see who they are until about 15 years after you've been married because they're way more calculated. They're the Ted Bundys. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're very I don't even know if I could use the word gracious, but they're very methodical and they know what we want to see and hear. And they can keep that facade up for many years. They don't get
Yeah.
tired.
No, no. I think they get some type of pleasure from it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a
So
game.
it is a game, and I think that's what affects a lot of people is that realizing that you've just been part of a game for a long periods of your life.
Yeah.
It creates trauma. It creates that uncertainty going forward. How do I trust other people? How do I open up to other people after
Yeah.
knowing that a person can be this dangerous to me, right?
Mhm. And calculating. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when it comes to um, narcissism, I think one part that is kind of overlooked the
Yeah.
most is are the victims of narcissism. You
Yes.
know, you have, and in relationships, I think abuse is sometimes two way, or most of the
Yeah.
time is two ways, right? Men would react differently to abuse than women would react to an abuse. I
That's right.
think that men would react more violently to abuse,
Yeah.
whereas women would be more traumatized, I guess.
Mhm.
So sometimes the victim or the abuser that from in the relationships, such as the man,
Yeah.
if he's violent towards his partner, nobody would look at the partner and say, "Well, what is
No.
she doing behind the scene?"
Absolutely.
And I think that's a
Absolutely.
problem.
Very much so. Part of that is culturing
Hmm.
or cultural. Women are innocent, guys aren't.
Right.
Domestic violence, the stats are also unequal. Like the stats for men with domestic violence is much higher than women.
Yes.
Although we know women abuse men too, but it's just kind of how we've been cultured to think of this.
So, how do you think that? Of course, when I was talking earlier, I wasn't advocating for
Yes,
being an abuser and stuff like that. That's not what I'm
absolutely.
talking about. I was just pointing out that it is important to look at both sides, right?
Hmm.
So, being a victim of narcissism, how do you think that a person can to help themselves to
Yeah.
get over that? Because it seems like a lonely road where they would have to kind of navigate through on their own because a lot of people
Yeah.
won't even look at them, right?
Right. And that's scary. That's how they get us every time.
Mm,
Narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, they know how to blend in. They play a really good role. I always encourage my clients, and even on my channel, I encourage my subscribers. I think the number one thing we need to do to get over it is to understand it had nothing to do, being in a relationship with someone like this or being a friend to, had nothing to do with your lack of judgment. It has more to do with how good they are and getting over on you. And I think a lot of people feel like, well, if I have somebody evil, cruel, manipulative in my realm, then I must have missed something. Well, yes, you missed something, but that's only because they're that good. You didn't miss anything because you're inadequate. So understanding that dynamic is important. But then, secondly, education. Like my whole channel is full of education on, here's why this is not your fault. Here's the many different ways that these unstable people present themselves to us. I mean, I've been deceived in the past by narcissists, by sociopaths, by cold hearted people. It was only when I start learning what that actually meant, and how that can manipulate us, just the way that those people come across to us, that's when I said, oh, okay, well, I need to heal now because it wasn't me. I need to stop thinking maybe something was wrong with my perception. Maybe I'm immature. Maybe I'm inadequate. No, it was they study. They
yeah.
study humans.
And I think too sometimes you can attract these ones, and
True.
it's not your fault. Is it you just have a quality or something about you that attracts them that they like. It could be your confidence. It could be how
Yeah.
kind you are, and that'll attract them towards you, right? And
Hmm.
you would think that it's something I'm doing wrong. It's something I'm doing wrong. No, you're just being you,
Yeah.
and that brings this people into your life.
Can I throw one more thing into this too, Marvin?
Please, please do.
Okay. So no matter what you believe, and I'm saying you in general, I strongly believe that in life, in these relationships with humans, there's a battle between good and evil. I really do.
Always.
Like a strong battle between good and evil. So you've got somebody who's dark and just manipulative and chaotic, and they do what I talk about the most on my channel is triangulate. They put you in the middle and they bring people against you, and they know how to stir the pot. To me, those are evil people. Those of us who say, what is going on, all I wanted to do was be a loving person towards you, that is the good. So we have that battle between good and evil, and so because of how intense that battle can be, we're likely to be deceived.
Right. Yeah, I
you
mean,
know
there is God and there is the devil, so
yeah, there you go. There you
that is
go.
that is always going to be part of what we have to deal with and contend
Yeah.
with. We
Yes.
just you just got to try to be good, I think, and
Mhm.
try to be kind to people, not take advantage of them,
Yeah.
and just play your part in the healing of the world, healing of the society. But
Yes.
like you said, there are also people out there who are doing the work of the devil, and they will
Absolutely.
try to undo every good that you have done in your life or you are doing in your life. That's their job. They're doing their job. So, it's
Exactly.
important that, you know, I want to point out in my channel, I want to point out
Yeah.
the dangers that you can look for in people in society,
Yeah.
and just going in naive and thinking that, everyone's going to have your back and everyone's going to want you to succeed. That's false.
Yeah.
So you have to protect yourself.
Agree. It's a desire more than a reality.
Yes. Yeah, just because you wish that would happen does not mean that that is exactly how it'll be.
No.
So,
No.
so you don't think there are any good narcissists then?
I mean, my field says a lot of things. I'm like, I disagree. Like, there is some research though that says that good narcissists are the ones who make it to the top. But I don't think there are any good narcissists because they can't love. They have no empathy. They can't feel. They can't relate.
Hmm.
And to me, that's the essential part of human beings, that we can connect and relate no matter. You and I were talking about that before we came on, that StreamYard kind of, the system here kind of gives us the ability you're in one country and I am in the next, but we can connect.
Right.
Narcissists, sociopaths, they don't know how to do that. It's absent, it's gone. So I don't think anybody who's a narcissist, sociopath, psychopath can be good. It's just not in them.
So it just depends on how the level of narcissism that they have, because there are narcissists that you can work with, like
Sure.
you can get along with, they'll cooperate with you. Sometimes you have the it's like a graph, right? It's like
Yeah.
up down, and
Yeah.
but they can work with you at times and get things done.
Yeah. Part of that is because there's a thing known as cognitive empathy and emotional empathy. So we've got individuals with cognitive empathy, they know how to function in the world by kind of processing cognitively how to relate to other people. It isn't a natural, innate emotional state. It's
Okay.
here's how the world wants me to engage.
Right.
So that's how you can work with a narcissist. Keep in mind they have cognitive empathy. It makes sense logically to them. They just can't feel it or express it.
Yeah. So it's sort
Yeah,
of like they mimicking what everybody else is doing,
that's right.
or what they think people want from them.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
They're like a robot. That's what it is.
I would take a robot over a narcissist any day. I'll tell you that.
Oh man.
I can program the robot to do what I want and
Oh, that's true.
cooperate with me, give me peace of mind. The narcissist cannot do that.
Oh, that's a good one. That's good. That's true.
It sounds mean, but it's true. I would take a
Yeah,
robot any day.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
blame you.
you know, it's been such an enlightening conversation with you. I
Thank you.
I love your answers. I love the viewpoints that you brought up.
Thank
It
you.
made me. I'm going to be thinking about this now for the rest of the day. And
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for your
Um,
time and yeah, your thoughts.
oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much, Marvin. And thank you for this platform. It's great. I can't wait to share it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I think this is a journey, so we don't I don't know where this is gonna lead to and what it'll turn out to be. It's just a
Mhm.
desire. It started off as a desire for me to. So when I started my channel, I made it to talk to African men,
Yes.
like specifically Nigerian men, because I
Yes.
realized that, like you were saying before, genetically we
Hmm.
are prone to being angry,
Yes.
and I experienced that most of my life. I was angry. I was,
Hmm.
and when I overcame it, when I understood what was going on, it took a lot of work. But when I
Yes.
finally understood what was going on, I thought, oh, you know what? This explains my
Yeah.
all my childhood. And now I
Hmm.
want to do something to help people. So when I started my YouTube channel, it was basically me just trying to talk to Nigerian men or African men. And
That's
then,
that's so good.
yeah, and it's me just talking to different people. So
Yeah.
it's something that I think you don't know where things would lead. So this
Hmm.
is just a journey that we are on, and just trying to make the best out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, I thank you so much for being here with me. And
Thank you for
so they
inviting
can
me.
tell the people where they can find you.
Okay. I will give you my website, my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is just my name, Tamara Hill on YouTube. And then my website is www.anchoredinKnowledge.com. I also created an Instagram page if you want to find my name on Instagram. It's so lame though, but it's getting there. It's not as good as my YouTube channel, I'll tell you that.
Oh, well, you know what? It's you're doing your part, and there are always people out there that appreciate what you're doing. If the knowledge that you are putting out there, it might
Yes.
not apply to everybody, but there are people that would appreciate it, and that's who you're making it
Thank
for. So
you.
that's all that matters.
Thank you, Marvin. Very grateful for you reaching out to me. Thank you.